My name is Angela.
And my name is Nicole.
And welcome to the Ominous Stitch podcast. Welcome to episode 4.
That was really loud welcome. I'm very sorry about
that. No, that's
that.
okay.
I'm so
We're
excited.
You guys, this is a special episode.
We are in San Diego.
Sunny San Diego.
Yes.
We are on a little momcation.
I love momcation.
I don't know what to do with myself.
It's hilarious. Like, Angela, I'm away from my kids a little bit more, I think, because I work away from them.
Yes.
But poor Angela.
I miss a ham. I stay at home with the kids.
And she's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, this is the best thing. Enjoy it.
I know. But it's like, I feel like Ricky Bobby. And like, I
what
don't
do I do
know
with
what
my
to
hands?
do with my hands.
But it's day 2 and we're, I think, settling in.
We're settling in. And of course, we have to do a podcast because you guys, San Diego is full of ominous things.
So many ominous
things. We're going to talk about one of them today in the podcast.
That's so exciting. Yeah, so we went on a tour last night and we're going to talk a little bit about it. But Angela did a bunch of research about the specific tour that she's going to bring it all down for you guys.
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing story time today.
Yay!
And Nicole is going to be talking about cross stitch, our first cross stitch episode.
Woohoo! Get your cross stitch pants on.
I love how we always have to wear pants.
Oh, I don't know. Travel pants.
Travel pants, cross
stitch
pants.
Dancing pants.
I love it.
I got my pants on. I got wide leg pants on today. All right.
So what have we been doing since we've been in sunny San Diego?
We have been Ubering everywhere.
Ubering everywhere. We took a train to get here. We hooray for the Surfliner. Yay.
Yeah, that was the best thing. I loved it.
So on the train, we had some celebrities.
Yes, I was so excited.
Yes, who did we see, Nicole?
We saw Zooey Deschanel.
Zooey Deschanel and her boyfriend, Jonathan Scott.
Yay! Yeah, I recognized her kind of because they were both wearing masks. And then I saw him and I was like, oh, that's totally them.
Yeah, that's totally them. It was so cute. I wanted to just walk by and sing, "Who's that girl?" It's just... But, we didn't. We were respectful.
You should have sang. That would have been fun. But no.
We
were too
I'm
nervous
sure she gets that all of the time.
I wonder.
And she, I think they just want to be people on a train and just let them ride.
Yeah, that was really cool.
It was so cool to see them on the train. And we were definitely doing little happy dances every time they walked by us.
Or I'd peek through because I could see them at the end of the train. I was like, oh, there they are. There they are. They're still there. But yeah, that was the best because driving to San Diego from Los Angeles, if you've ever done that, it's a nightmare. And especially on a Friday, it would have taken us probably 4 hours at least.
Yes.
But sitting in traffic, annoyed.
And being grumpy. One of us being grumpy
yes.
while the other one is trying to keep the other one from not being grumpy.
Exactly. And then this train ride was maybe 2 hours more and it was so relaxing. I got a nap in.
I know. You guys, we got naps. It was awesome. And they gave us snacks.
They gave us free snacks, free drinks. That was the coolest thing.
Ride the train, people. It's
ride
fun.
The train. It was very romantic, I felt like. And just that whole oh, look, and you see the beach and you see everything on the way there and you can actually look out the window. So yeah. That was really fun.
It was great.
But yeah, and we got to our hotel and we got to settle in and we're right on the beach.
Yes.
Down by the beach.
Down by the beach.
So then we settled in and we did our tour. We got into the old San Diego.
Old Town San Diego.
Yeah. And it was so fun and to see so much historic things in San Diego. I've been here before and you have too, but to do this together and to actually be kind of ghost hunting. Yeah, that was
our first time ghost hunting.
Yeah, one of many, I'm sure.
Yes, this is our first of many adventures that we're going to kick off together.
Yay!
So let's go ahead and dive in.
Yes.
You got some stitches for us. What are we stitching?
All right, so we're gonna go get some cross stitching done. So let's get stitching.
Yay!
So So cross stitch lovers,
I'm so excited. I've never cross-stitched before. This is my first time.
I'm so excited for you because you're going to find out, as I've mentioned probably a couple times before, this is really easy compared to crocheting, okay? Now, note, guys, I am not a pro. I've been doing cross-stitching maybe for 3 or 4 years now. I really got into it when the pandemic hit. But I really love it because in a way it's like cross stitching. Once you kind of get your pattern in front of you and you know what you're doing, you can watch TV, which that's what I do. I multitask when I
or
do
listen to your favorite podcast.
Or listen. And I do that actually. You're right. I do that more often because my kids are around and I don't want them like watching TV with me because usually it's like horror stuff. So I'm listening to my horror podcasts. Or true crime podcasts. And so they're doing their homework and I'm sitting on the couch with them. And if they need help, I'm right there. And then I can come back to my great cross stitching. So today I'm just going to talk a little bit of my favorite things or some kind of tips for what I've found out so far. And, you know, please feel free to share your tips because I would love to know extra little things here and there that would make my life easier when I'm doing this. Okay?
Yes, we love learning.
Yeah. And just a heads up. So for Angela, I got her a little gift.
You guys, she's so cute. She always gives me little gifts, and I'm like, "Why? Stop it! Don't give me gifts."
Because that's my favorite.
I
Makes
know.
me happy. So, I found her, and it's Amazon.
Woohoo.
I found her just a little starter kit, and it's really cute. It's tiny, and it's like, what do you say, like 3 or 4 inches of this little hoop.
Yeah, it's a little 4-inch hoop.
Yeah, and it comes with everything. It comes with the Ida. 4 inches, perfect.
Yeah.
It comes with the Ida fabric, and it comes with the thread, and you're gonna find these anywhere. Amazon's just easy for me because it's, you know, free shipping and it's quick.
It's so cute. It's a happy camper.
Yeah. So for her, I just set her up because she can do this anytime, and it's got the instructions. It has all the thread, like I said. It has a needle, and super easy. So I always recommend if you haven't cross stitched yet, just find a kit. And it'll get you started, and it's going to be super easy, and you're going to fall in love. But for me now, in my few years, you know, I started that with finding kits on Amazon. Then I jumped to Etsy, which is awesome place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I found downloadable patterns. So I'm sure for crocheting, it's easy because you find that everything's easy and cheap, right? Or just free.
Yeah, Etsy also has a lot of really great crochet patterns too. I've downloaded some from there. Yes.
Yeah. So I just found I spent, you know, $3 or $4 finding these downloadable patterns, and started purchasing all of my kits and things, or the thread and that I need. And the hard part with these downloadable Etsy ones is the right colored threads. It's very specific, and these patterns are like, this is this color you need.
Well, you're doing very intricate patterns at this point that have a lot of color variation, a lot of shading.
Yeah. And well, I mean, the other ones were like just simple, but still couldn't find the right colors. It was the hardest part. So what I would do is I'd go to the store and I would find the closest. And for us, I know Lionheart was your go-to, right?
Yes.
DMC obviously is the one that we use for cross stitching. But what I did when I first started was I just find a color that was similar to DMC. The problem with that, and I'm sure you guys know, is that it would tangle easier than the DMC. So it just depends what brand you like, right? And then what else I found was, I'm working now with the store called Millions of Stitches on Etsy. I'm going to do some shout outs here.
Nice.
Yeah. So Millions of Stitches, if you can't find your thread in Joann Fabrics or Michaels or whatnot, you can request certain specific colors and then they'll send them to you. And it's cheap too. Yeah. So I love that. So if you ever get more into cross stitch, Angela,
okay,
I will show you where that is. And it's amazing. And they sent me exactly the colors I needed for my current project, because I will talk about it right
my gosh, her current project. It's going to be beautiful, but wow.
Oh, yes. Okay. So what happened was I stumbled upon this really cool place. It's called www.stitchboard.com. So it's a place where a lot of people go to find cross stitching and talk about it and stuff. But you can upload a photo, and then they will provide you the exact pattern for it, and they give you the info for the fabric, and they give you all the colors that you need, and it's so cool, and it's accurate. I was a little skeptical at first because the photo I uploaded was one of my husband's photos of Funko Pops. You know that.
Yes. I do. They're so cute. He's so artsy with it too. They're always like really neat.
Yes. Yeah. He's got a photographer's eye, but he loves his toys.
Yes.
So put them together, and
he
his
loves
passion.
the Funkos.
Yeah. Well, we all have our passion, right?
Yes.
So for a gift for him, I uploaded a photo of one of our his Funko Pop photos, and it is insane, guys. I had to buy over 130 different threads.
Oh my gosh.
DMC floss.
Oh my gosh.
And spent like $70 just on this one thing, but it's gonna be worth it. It's a gift, and it's gonna take me a year, and I will definitely upload photos of what's going on with this. But some tips for this, okay, guys? So fabric, I didn't know Ada fabric, and you're gonna know this before me. There's different sizes, guys. I didn't know this. So like yours, it'll show, but
yeah, mine looks like it's bigger than yours.
yeah, exactly. So different sizes. So a 14 Ada Ada size is going to be larger. 16 to 18, it's the squares per like inch.
Yes.
That? So it's going to be smaller. So I'm going smaller because I need it to fit this fabric that I bought from Amazon. And that's really neat. I was like, I didn't know that, didn't realize. And I was, all my downloadable patterns even tell you like, oh, you can do it this size. And yes, sorry, Angela.
It's okay. She pulled her, well, you guys will hear, she pulled her mic away.
I get excited and I'm like, don't think about my mic placement.
We're not in our normal location.
Yes.
So now we have to think about microphone placement.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. So yeah, so I found I'm doing a bigger Ada pattern so that it's smaller, if that makes sense. And then with this project, it's a big picture. So I actually used pencil and I drew on my fabric so that it could give me guide. See that?
Yes.
Yeah.
She had to, it's a huge project. But it's very detailed with lots and lots of little colors and little X's. So she got really smart and broke the grid down a little bit more so it's more workable.
Yes. Yeah. And it's so much easier that way without having to eyeball my squares.
It's like how a muralist will
break it down into squares.
Down.
Yeah. And that's what it is. And these, I've got like 9 pages of pattern here. So that's what I'm on page 2 out of 9. But I've finished, I'm kind of working around because when you first cross stitch, and you'll know, you go right from the middle. You'll fold your fabric and go right from the middle. That's the easiest way to start. And that's the best.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll see that. Not like crocheting where you just start with that one line. No, it's right in the middle of your fabric. So that's my Ada fabric. I have over 130 things. A couple other tips for this. Usually you use a circle for your frame.
Yes,
the hoop. Yeah, the hoop. For this pattern, it's square, and I actually found a cool plastic frame that's a square frame that clips on, and it's so much easier to handle. It's a little bigger. Again, I'll link where I found it, but I love this because it's just, I can move it around easier than the hoop. It's not giving me a round edge when I take it off. So
yes,
it's so much nicer.
Yeah.
The last tip I have for the cross stitching for this is that every time I would do these big projects, my first big project, which I'll link a photo to it in our social media, was Baby Yoda.
Oh,
yeah,
Baby Yoda.
It was the cutest thing. And I found that from Etsy. Again, Nikki pattern from Etsy. But it was huge. And I was using a hoop and it was like hard. And that one at least was round, but the fabric would fray. The edges, you see that? So it would fray and I was like freaking out. And thankfully it was like small enough that the edges I didn't have to worry about so much. So I found a tip where if you use painter's tape and you just tape those edges, you're not going to have any fraying. And at the end of the day, when you're finished with your project anyway, you're going to wash the fabric. Okay. So the pencil, the tape, the dirty little stains here and there that I've had because I pick it up and put it down all the time, those will go away eventually. So don't worry about it. Don't be scared if it looks a little dirty and rough around the edges. What I do is I just fill my sink with water and some dish soap and a little tiny laundry soap, and I mix it all up and I just let my fabric sit in there.
Oh, okay.
And I just let it soak and then I clean it really well, rinse it really well, and it just comes out brand new.
Oh, nice.
So there you go.
That's an excellent tip.
Yeah. So it's going to get dirty. I mean, wash your hands obviously before you start, but you're going to get a little bit dirty. It's cool. You might, if you have a dog like me, dog comes up and rubs up against things, and you might have some dog hairs in it too. So
dog hair.
Yep. So
hair.
wash it out. So like I said, with Angela's, it's a 4-inch square. She can pick it up and drop it anytime she wants, and it's going to be fine. And then she'll finish, she'll wash it, and she can actually put it in her hoop. The hardest part for me, I think, is putting the felt fabric in the back. If you want to hang it, that gets a little trickier. If someone else has, help with that, that's awesome. I don't know how to work what's it called? Sewing machine. So I don't.
What's it called?
What's it called? I can't work a sewing machine for the life of me. I have to learn, but that would be probably the easiest if you knew how to do that to get that felt back on. But anyway, that's the hardest part. But yeah, overall, I love these cross-stitching projects. I'll show you my current one. My husband's not going to listen to this. I'm going to make him not, because it's going to ruin his gift for Christmas. I'm not going to be done until Christmas, guys. I started this in January.
Yes, you did. But you made a lot of progress, though.
I have. It's getting along. And with kids and a full-time job.
Yeah.
This is my side project.
Yes.
Besides our podcasting.
Yes.
So enjoy. I hope you guys love cross-stitching as much as I do. I probably won't be back talking about it too much unless I start new projects. But like I said, I'm going to link all my pictures of my previous projects onto Instagram. I wanted to do a shout out one more time, though. Cross Stitching Lovers and Nikki Pattern. Those are my 2 Etsy downloadables that I love so much so far. I purchased patterns from them. And I think that's it.
Okay. And one more time, what is the website that you uploaded your photo on to?
Yes. www.stitchboard.com. But there are I was looking this up. There are so many websites that you can do this with for free uploads.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love that it's building and it's cross stitches taking off. Remember our old granny things that everyone loves now. And it's so fun. I have one of my other favorite ones that I sent somebody says treat yourself, and I love that one. Yeah, I'll put a picture.
Yay,
of them.
Parks and Rec.
Yep. So enjoy, but please always feel free to share your tips. I will even shout you out if you have some really cool ones, and let us know. And now it is story time.
Story time. Okay, guys, like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, we are on location in San Diego, and we happen to be where the most haunted house in America is.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. I didn't know that. That was a really big surprise for me. There's so many haunted houses in America.
There are so many haunted houses.
But they claim to be the most haunted.
The most haunted house in America. You guys, we went to the Whaley House last night. Oh my gosh. It was so exciting. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Whaleys, the Whaley House, and all of the residents that still live within the walls of the Whaley House.
Let's get it.
All right. So I would like to first introduce you guys to the Whaley family. Thomas Whaley is our patriarch of this family. He's the one that built this house. But I'm going to give you a little background information on him and the family. Right. So he came to California around 1849 during the gold rush. And he sailed from New York all the way around South America, right?
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Because it's connected.
Yes. The Panama Canal wasn't there.
Wow.
So he sailed from New York all the way around South America
and back
up to San Francisco.
Whoa.
With a bunch of wares to sell to miners. So
that must have taken forever.
It did take forever. I'm sure. And that's like determination.
Yes.
But he wanted to make a name for himself. So he set up a store in San Francisco with a partner, George Wardle, where he sold hardware and woodwork from his family's New York business. The New York business was called Pye and Whaley.
Oh, I like that.
And
is it like pies?
No, P-Y-E.
Oh, darn
pie.
It.
That's
we'll talk
about who the pies are. We'll talk about who the pies are in just a second. But Pye and Whaley was his family store. And so he came out west to set up a name for himself and also sell wares to the miners.
Question.
Yes.
Did he, when he set the store up, did he like send everything from New York, or do you think
he brought it with him?
Wow, on that ship.
On that ship.
That's that is
why
so
he
amazing.
Came all the way around south.
So he can have everything with him.
Yes, so he could sell everything from his family store and set it up in San Francisco.
Cool.
So a little more background on him. He was born on October 5th, in 1823. So he's a little Libra with me.
Yes, like you.
Yes. 2 days before my birthday. I'm October 7th. Not 1823. I'm much
Wow,
more
you
current
aged gracefully.
And some other interesting facts I found out about him is that his family immigrated to the U.S. in 1722, and they immigrated to Plymouth. And his great-grandfather, Alexander Whaley, was a gunsmith, and he participated in the Boston Tea Party, and he provided lodging and muskets to George Washington and the Revolutionary War troops under his...
Wow. That's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Lineage? Yeah.
So they have deep roots in America.
Okay.
So Thomas's father, who was also Thomas.
Oh, another
we
Thomas.
have a lot of Thomases here. Married Rachel Pye.
Oh.
And they formed Pye and Whaley.
There's a pie pants.
Yes. So there's the pies. So that's the family store, Pye and Whaley.
Got it.
So in 1849, he set up a shop in San Francisco and was selling to the miners. Unfortunately, in 1851, an arson set fire burned down his store in San Francisco. I know. So bad luck.
That's sad.
So under the encouragement of another business associate of his, he decided to relocate to San Diego, which brings us here. And he set up many businesses with multiple partners in San Diego. And he made enough money to return to New York to marry his sweetheart, Anna Eloise Delaunay, in 1853. So he married Anna in 1853.
That's really sweet. He came back and married her.
He earned enough money, made a name for himself, set up his life, and then went back to New York to marry her.
How determined is that? Wow.
That's like a real stand-up guy. He's like, I'm going to make sure that I can provide for my sweetheart and then bring her.
Got a plan and action. Good for him.
So he married Anna Eloise Delaunay, and she is of French descent.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Great.
Yes, which comes into play in the house because we'll talk about that.
Okay, we'll get
but
to
it does come into play in the house.
Trying to jump around here.
Yes. So they got married in 1853, and in 1855, they moved back to San Diego. And they built their dream home.
So they built it from scratch.
They built it from scratch. So they wound up having 6 children.
That's a lot of kids.
It's a lot of kids. I know, I can't even imagine.
I think.
I have 3. That's enough for me. But they had 6 children. Francis Hinton, Thomas, who at 18 months old did pass away of scarlet fever, which we'll talk about again in a minute. Anna Amelia, George Hayes Ringgold, Violet Eloise, and Corinne Lillian. Those are their 6 children.
Wow.
So in 1855, they decided to build their dream house in San Diego in the middle of what we call Old Town San Diego. But it was definitely in the middle of town because it was very important for Thomas to, if he's going to be a business owner, he needs to be part of the community and focus on that. Okay. So the way that they set up the house is they lived upstairs and they had a general store downstairs.
Got it.
In the house. The house was completed in 1857.
They started in 1855.
They moved to San Diego in 1855. They purchased the land, but on May 6th, 1856, he began construction on the house.
So 1 year, roughly.
Yes, it took a year.
Okay.
And this is a quote from Thomas. He says, "My new house, when completed, will be the handsomest, most comfortable, and convenient place in town, or within 150 miles of here." So he was very confident that this was going to be
the best
house and the place for everyone to gather.
And the shindigs to happen.
Yes, a pillar of the community, a center for the community.
Look at that. So he was a socialite too.
He knew the importance of being a businessman and having strong ties to the community.
Okay. Networking.
Yes. That was him. So it is a 2-story Greek Revival designed house, and it was designed by Whaley, and he used bricks from his own brickyard to build the house. So it is a red brick house.
It is.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So I mean,
those bricks are original. Everything's original on that frame.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it was the first of its kind, and it cost more than $10,000 to build when completed. So I did a little research in today's dollars. That's about $375,000 give or take.
That's so awesome.
Yes, so that's how much it costs for that house. It is furnished with mahogany and rosewood furniture.
That's so gorgeous. I love that.
Beautiful Brussels carpets. And damask drapes. And it also has very beautiful foiled wallpaper.
Yes.
It's very shiny.
I couldn't stop looking at the wallpaper.
It's so pretty.
I couldn't stop. It was so gorgeous.
And where the French element comes to play is that there's a lot of fleur-de-lis on the wallpaper.
Yes.
And that's to reflect Anna's French heritage.
That makes sense.
It was praised as the first of its kind and finest home in Southern California. And here's a little bit more history in the house. From 1869 to 1871, it was a gathering place for the entire San Diego community. So it was a general store, and it was also many other things. So one of the other things it was the first commercial theater in Southern California.
That's right. They were saying that yesterday.
Yes. And we got to go to the theater.
That was so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool.
But wouldn't it be awkward? When we were there to have people walking up. I guess the lower area wasn't their housing, right, at that time.
Yes. So downstairs was
just the store.
The store, also the courthouse.
Yes, which you're going to get to, right?
Thing. Yes. So it was the county courthouse, and it was a general store. So
you wouldn't be walking up somebody's house to get to the theater then. Then.
Yes, you would, because the second floor is where the family rooms were.
Right. But just like the lower area, you wouldn't be seeing housing. It would feel like an actual.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you walk in, it's really interesting because when you walk into the house and you go up the stairs, right off the stairs when you walk straight in is where the theater is. So it is upstairs where the family bedrooms are.
Right.
And it's right across the hall from the master bedroom and right next to the nursery.
That'd be so awkward having
Isn't that interesting?
People walking into your house to see the theater. And even when we were in that general store area, I still felt like it was a house to me. It didn't feel like a store. I don't know. Maybe that was just the comfort of how it, the ease of it. But
yes,
yeah, it was different.
So it's a really interesting house.
Yeah.
And for how much that house functioned, like all the different things that functioned for that house and how many people were in and out of that house.
And to maintain 6 kids.
Right. And it feels very small.
It does. It felt really small.
So it's interesting to see how they lived and what the ideas of a grand house were.
Right.
Back in those days. So it also became the focal point in a battle between if San Diego was going to be more focused on the old town or if it was going to be focused on the new town, because they were building away from that. We'll talk about that more in just a little bit when we talk more about the family.
Okay.
In 1890, Thomas Whaley passed away in their new home on State Street. So he had moved out of their family home for various reasons. But he didn't pass away in that home, although his presence is still in that home.
Because that was probably more tied to.
Yes.
Okay.
And the Whaley house sat abandoned and in disrepair for 20 years until Francis Whaley, the oldest son, decided to move back in 1909.
Okay.
So when Thomas passed away, the house sat abandoned for 20 years. And then his son decided to move back.
So no one occupied that for 20 years?
Yes.
Oh, that poor house.
Yes. So Francis decided to come back and restore the house, and he used it to entertain guests. So he would entertain guests on his guitar and tell stories about the house until he passed away in 1913.
Wow.
Anna Whaley passed away a year after that in the house.
Oh.
Yeah. And there have been other family passings that happened in that house as well. Some of them of not so great things and some of them of natural causes.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's talk more about the property, because there's some interesting facts about the property that make it paranormal.
Yes.
Okay. Probably the most interesting fact to me is where the house stands.
Yes.
So the house was built on former execution grounds. So the city of San Diego used to use that space to execute criminals.
Oh gosh. Gee, that's not a tainted land.
Right? So here's an interesting fact about that. Thomas Whaley knew that that's what they were using.
And he was still cool with it.
For. Yes. I think he probably picked it up as a bargain and was like, yep, I'm going to buy this place.
Cheap.
He actually attended the last public execution on those grounds.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Yankee Jim Robinson was executed. He was the last man executed there for stealing a boat. He stole a boat and he was executed for it.
Don't steal boats, people.
Don't steal boats.
Question. Yes. I don't know if you did research on this. Why is it Yankee Jim?
He was probably from the north. I'm not sure how he got the name Yankee, but that's what they called him, Yankee Jim.
That was his actual name?
Yes.
Okay.
Yankee Jim.
Yankee Jim. All right.
Yankee Jim.
But yeah, don't steal boats.
Yes. And Thomas Whaley was there at the execution.
That's pretty messed up to be executed for, like, I know theft is not, and stealing a boat, yeah, you won't do that. But to hang somebody for just stealing, like, he didn't take a life. He just took a boat. He was like, hey, that boat looks fun.
I feel like that was a little extreme,
right?
But that's what he was executed for.
Okay.
And so some other interesting things about his execution.
Uh-oh.
I know. Thomas Whaley not only witnessed it, but he kind of mocked it.
Oh, no.
Apparently, Yankee Jim was very tall for the time. He stood about 6'2", 6'3", and they mismeasured the rope. And so it was a particularly gruesome execution because he
didn't die right away.
Right. So it wasn't that great. But Thomas Whaley very purposefully built an archway in his parlor in the spot where Yankee Jim was hung.
Why would you do that?
And I don't know.
That's really morbid.
It is really morbid. But he did believe that Yankee Jim haunted him. And you could hear heavy footsteps on the stairs. Yankee Jim walks on the stairs and trods them. And Thomas Whaley heard those footsteps quite often. And it is said that if you stand too long in the archway in the parlor, which we were standing in last night, you can feel that aggression from Yankee Jim. And you can feel him wanting to get you out of there.
That's a space.
Yes, that's his space.
Oh, my gosh. Did you feel anything last night?
I didn't feel any of that aggression.
Okay.
And I felt very little. You felt a little more than I did, which we will talk about in a little bit. But I did feel a couple of times lightheaded. And they attribute that feeling to Mrs. Whaley or Anna Whaley. She's the one that causes you to feel lightheaded and a little bit dizzy, which I did feel those at different points in the house. But it wasn't super strong. You felt something more than I did. So we'll talk about who did that to you in a little bit. Other things that happened in the house, I mentioned this a little bit ago, but Thomas, their baby, passed away at 18 months old of scarlet fever.
So
and that was
sad.
Very devastating for the family
Yes.
when that happened. They just moved into that house. They weren't there for very long when he passed. Right after that, there was a fire in the general store in the house. So it's the second
arson. Man, or do you think it was an arson?
I don't know if it was an arson, but it was the second fire that broke
just
out
following
in
them along,
right in their general stores. So at that point, after that happened, they moved. So they moved out of that house and moved back up to San Francisco for a time.
Did they really? I didn't know that. Wait, so Thomas, he died of scarlet fever. What number child was that?
Thomas was number 2.
Okay.
He was a second born son.
Got it.
And so he died of scarlet fever. They moved back to San Francisco and had the rest of their kids. And then they returned back to San Diego in 1868, I'm sorry.
Okay.
With all 5 of their kids. So they left to San Francisco and then they came back and I think there was another series of unfortunate events that plagged them in San Francisco, which caused them
following them.
Right?
Maybe it's because they built that house on bad ground.
Maybe it's
followed
just bad
that
juju following them
Yep.
around. So it caused them they moved back to San Diego in 1869 with all 5 of their children. In 1871, when Thomas was away on business, a group of armed men came and held Anna at gunpoint.
What?
To seize the courthouse records. So this was during when the battle was happening of whether Old Town was going to be the stronghold of San Diego or New Town. So they were trying to decide where the county records should be held. And Thomas very adamantly said the records need to stay here in Old Town at the courthouse, which was also his residence, right?
Okay.
So a group of armed men, when Thomas was away, came and seized all the documents and took them to Newtown. and held Anna at gunpoint.
Just to take him to Newtown.
Right. That's how heated the battle got.
Wow.
And that's how important the Whaley House was over the battlegrounds of Old Town versus Newtown, because they held the records, and Thomas was very adamant that they should stay there.
Which is, I think, a good thing. It's a very historical landmark. In that Old Town is the founding place. Right. So why would you want to just...
Power struggle, baby.
Man, that's
right?
So sad. Right?
So one of the more tragic events that happened, this was interesting, and I want to talk about a story that happened to us last night when before we went on our tour of the Whaley House. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about Violet, who is the second youngest daughter.
Okay.
So at age 19, she got married to a man named George Bertolacci. There were issues with the marriage really early on. He admitted to cheating and having an illegitimate daughter, right?
That's right.
So we learned that last night.
Yeah.
So he admitted to cheating and having another daughter and having lots of debts.
Yep.
And losing all of his money to another woman right before he married her. Mm-hmm. And then he asked Violet to give him 2 to 4 years to get his life back together, and then they can be together. And he sent this all in a letter 2 months into their marriage, I think right before Valentine's Day.
Who does that?
Right? Oh, it's so terrible. And so Violet was very dejected because she was a new bride. She was a young bride. Mm-hmm. She really wanted to make this marriage work. Mm-hmm. She came from a very prominent family in San Diego, and so she didn't know what to do. So she returned home. And the Whaleys didn't want their family to be associated with a man like George because he was going to bring their family down.
The family name.
The family name. So they made her divorce him.
It's Bridgerton.
Oh, right. So she had to divorce him, which was very shameful and disgraceful.
Yeah, you couldn't do it back then.
Right.
That's so crazy.
So Violet was very hurt and dejected. Oh, he was also a drunk, too. That was
on top of everything else. Well, yeah, that kind of goes hand in hand, I feel like.
Right. With all the lying and the cheating.
Yep.
And, yes. So
he didn't steal a boat, though.
No, he didn't steal a boat. Not to my knowledge.
Nope.
So Violet was forced to divorce him, and then she became very distraught and depressed and upset. And she was said to sit for hours in her parents' bedroom and just stare out the window. Mm-hmm.
Didn't they say the mom and the sister basically put her on house arrest, right? She couldn't leave? Or is that, am I getting ahead of myself?
Well, I think she had to stay in the house because she was a bit of an embarrassment. So I think they were trying to
lock her away.
I don't think they were trying to lock her away. I think they were trying to help her get through her depression, because they did send doctors to try to help her. And she said, no doctors, no anything can fix me.
Got it. Okay. That makes more sense.
Yes. So I think a lot of it was her own self-isolation, but some of it was also, we're going to keep you quiet and keep this kind of hush hush until everything blows over, and then
we can start working on it.
Out. Yeah. So she would sit for hours just staring out the window. One night she decided to try to drown herself in the cistern in the back of the property, but her father found her and saved her life and brought her back in. And then a little while later, just a few months later, she found her dad's revolver and went to the outhouse and locked herself in the outhouse and shot herself in the chest. And when her father found her, she was still alive. And
that was crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
And he brought her into the house, into the parlor, and laid her down on the settee. But it was too late for the doctors to do anything for her. So she did wind up dying in his arms.
Slowly dying.
Yes, and he was trying to comfort her. So her spirit haunts the house. And it is said that Violet, you will see her in the window of the master bedroom. She lingers around on the second floor, and you often feel a cold presence or a sad presence when you're around Violet. So here's my little Violet story. Before we went on the tour, we were taking pictures of the exterior of the house, and we were standing in the back of the house next to where the outhouse was. We didn't know that that's where that was, but that's where we were standing. And we were looking up at the second floor, and there are 3 windows on the second floor. The middle window was open, and they have the really nice gauzy lacy curtain. And so the curtain was kind of fluttering in the breeze, and we thought that looked cool. So we were trying to take a picture of it, and it stopped. It was dead. It was dead. There was no fluttering. And so I asked Violet, I said, Violet, can you please blow on the curtain and make it flutter? When I asked her to do that, the curtain did billow out and start fluttering again.
That was so cool.
So that was cool. So I was like, oh, we got to talk to Violet. And
she said, thank you.
Yes.
Angela was so sweet about it.
So I thought that was really cool.
Yes.
That happened.
Experience.
Okay. Other family members also lived and died in the house, including Anna, Lillian, who was the youngest daughter, Thomas, the baby, Violet died there, and Francis.
So sad. All in that house.
All in that house. And we learned about another baby, the granddaughter of Anna, Whaley. This one was so sad. She didn't die on property, but they do believe that her presence haunts the property. And her name was Marion. And she found a bottle in the yard. She lived in Oceanside, which isn't that far. It's just kind of northern San Diego.
Yeah.
So she found a bottle of something in her yard, and the bottle cap rattled and it made a cool sound, and then she opened it up and inside was a very sweet sticky liquid, and it tasted like candy to her, so she started eating it, and it wound up being Kellogg's ant paste, which is laced with arsenic.
Yes.
And so she died a very horrible death. She had fevers and arsenic poisoning.
Yeah. Before she was 3, right?
Before she was 3, a couple weeks before her third birthday.
So sad.
So she did a lot of growing up in the house and visiting the house when she was little. And so they do believe that she haunts the house, as well as Thomas, the 18-month-old, also haunts the house. And you can often hear children running around, scampering around, giggling. Our tour guide told us that Marion will grab your hand, grab your little fingers, and try to lead you around the house as well. So you'll hear baby cries and giggles and tiny little footsteps from baby Thomas and from Marion.
That's so sad.
Yeah. Thomas is also said to haunt the Whaley house. So Thomas is often seen on the front porch.
Oh, that's right.
Dressed in a coat and top hat. And he's also often seen at the top of the stairs. We were told that his presence is very domineering, and he looks over your shoulder and can make you feel very uncomfortable and intimidating. But he's not malicious. It's just his house. And so he wants to make sure that you understand that it's his house and these are his rules, and you need to be respectful.
Did the tour guide, remember she was telling us a story about a tall figure behind her? Do you think that was her only kind of experience? Do you think that was Thomas?
That could have been Thomas. It could have been Yankee Jim.
Yeah.
Or it could have been another spirit. Right? So remember how I mentioned that there was a theater in the house? The theater at the top of the stairs.
The cool little theater that slants.
Yes. So another ghost who haunts upstairs, and this is who I believe Nicole had her experience with.
She thinks. I don't know.
Yes.
I have no idea.
We don't know. We don't know who it was.
Speculation.
But Thomas Tanner was the head of the acting troupe that came and put on plays in the theater at the Whaley House. And 2 weeks into the run of the show, right? I think it was 2 weeks into the run of the show, Thomas Tanner died of consumption at the Whaley House. Right? And he's buried in a cemetery just a couple blocks away.
Which we checked out.
Which we also visited.
That was so cool.
And Yankee Jim is also there at that cemetery. So Thomas Tanner was said to be a very grabby man. This is the best way to say it.
He loves his women.
He loved his women, and he was not shy about groping them and grabbing them.
Which that's happened in the house sometimes, right? Women feel that. Women
feel touched. They'll feel a hand around the small of their back, or they'll feel a little tug or a little grope.
Yes.
Nicole got tugged.
Yeah, we were walking away from the Whaley house. We were about to go back to our hotel when my skirt, I'm wearing a very flowy skirt, but the wind wasn't blowing hard.
No, the wind was barely there.
And all of a sudden, I felt my skirt being tugged towards the Whaley house. Mm-hmm. And I turned because I thought someone was there.
She did turn. I was standing next to her. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I looked and there's no one there. And I said, Angela, my skirt just got tugged. And it was weird because it didn't feel like the wind. It felt like my skirt was being pulled.
Yeah. It was definitely enough to make her turn.
Yeah.
It was a very honest reaction. Nicole,
I really thought someone was there. There was people walking, drunk people walking out, and there's like homeless people out.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about where the Whaley house is, it really is in the middle of Old Town. There's bars right next door. We had a margarita right next to the Whaley house.
Yep. We had so much time waiting. We had a margarita right before. Yep. But yeah, it was just and it's it was 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. It's a busy street.
Mm-hmm. It's Friday night. Mm-hmm. So I really assumed that somebody kind of just accidentally pulled my skirt with their but no one was walking by. I looked, it freaked me out. So so I had a weird experience after hours. So that was really cool. A little creepy. So other things that people experience at the Whaley house is that sometimes people will smell Anna's French perfume. She's said to hang out a lot in the parlor, and you can also hear her play the pipe organ. They're a very musical family. I wish I would have remembered that and we could have just sung because we're musical as well. That would have been so cool.
Yeah, given a little concert at the Whaley house to see if we could invite anybody to come out.
It was crowded though. Our tour had a lot of people on it.
Yes.
So it was hard to get any kind of sense of anything, but it was still fun to do.
Yes. And then there's also mists, flickering lights.
The lights were hard.
The lights were
they did that on purpose
set to flicker.
Yeah. So, that's hard to tell.
That one's hard to tell. But swaying crystals on the lamp.
Okay, so my experience in there is telling Angela, I was sweating like crazy because there's no air, there's no AC. Mm-hmm. It's an old house, right? They're not going to have AC built. They have fans going here and there, but the fans are really light. Mm-hmm. So if something's swaying in there, that would totally get my attention because there's just no wind. There's that one window.
There's nothing stirring really in the house. My experience was just when I went up the stairs. I went up the stairs first. I was the first one in the group to go up.
She bolted up the stairs.
I was excited.
She was very excited.
So I went up the stairs first, and I felt it when I got to the top of the stairs. I started to feel that lightheaded, dizzy, woozy kind of feeling. It definitely was an energy shift at the top of the stairs when I walked in to that part of the house. I didn't feel anything before that. So we started the tour in the courthouse, and the courthouse is said because a lot of things went down, a lot of energy in the courthouse. And there's a spot in the jury box that is said to kind of be a portal or to have energy shift. And a lot of people do feel nauseated and just not well in the courthouse. I felt fine in the courthouse.
I was sweaty.
You were sweating in the courthouse?
Sweating. I couldn't stop sweating in there.
Oh, you guys, a funny thing that happened in the courthouse. That's where the tour began. So our guide is, trying to get us in the mood and then, get going for, discovering what we might feel or find in the house. And we stand up to exit to go into the general store. And Nicole forgot that her phone was on her lap.
I was juggling a million things. I had my recording system I was trying to use. My phone was on my lap. My purse was there. I had my sweater.
Oh, it was so funny. And then so she stood up and her phone made the hugest, loudest bang.
Oh, it was so loud.
It scared our tour guide. It scared her so much. And she was like, oh! She's like, don't scare the tour guide. It was so funny.
She maybe opened the door to the next room because of that.
Yes.
It's like, was something going to jump out at me? It scared me, but.
Oh, it was perfect. It was so good. And then in the next room, somebody else dropped their phone too and scared us. That was so funny. Oh, man. But no, it was good. So
yes,
that was my experience when I went upstairs. I started to feel that the air was definitely different, and it was a lot thicker, and I felt that lightheadedness, and I felt a little kind of off. I didn't really see anything that was off-putting, and I don't think we really captured anything. You did capture an orb outside of the...
Yeah, Angela claims it's an orb. I have no idea. There's a weird spot right above the Whaley House. I took lots of pictures of the Whaley House in the back, but one picture in particular has this kind of creepy little like light, and it doesn't look like a light reflection. I have some of those. Yes. We do. We both do.
Yeah, we both have light reflection.
But this one just is like a very specific, weird shaped light at the top of the Whaley House, which is crazy. I'll share the picture, but yeah, you can speculate, or you can think it's a light. I don't know. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, we don't know what it was. There were no lights above the Whaley House.
They were all over around in other areas, but not directly above the Whaley House.
Yeah, so we don't know what it is, and it showed up in the picture.
Yes,
I don't remember seeing any kind of lights when we were
not at
there. So that was interesting.
That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. But overall at the house, I felt very peaceful. I didn't feel like anything was malevolent or scary.
Well, she said that. She said that the ghosts here aren't trying to hurt us or scare us or anything. They're just there, right? They're just residual energy, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very pleasant. So I recommend, if you guys come to San Diego, go check out the Whaley House. Yes. It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a really neat
tour guide was great. She was really wonderful.
And it's interesting to see what a house from the mid 1800s.
Yes. In San Diego, though.
And how it ran.
Yeah. And how it was part house, part everything else. So theater, courtyard.
The theater. So one more thing about the theater. They said on opening night in the theater that they had 150 people in attendance to see the show that they were putting on, which there were about 22, 23 of us in that room.
And it was already crowded.
Packed.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine.
Standing room only.
Yes.
Ugh, up against everybody.
Oh.
But, they didn't have televisions back then.
Yes.
No entertainment. So that was probably really cool for them.
Yeah. My social anxiety kicking in at that point. Like, no.
I'm getting out of here.
Yes.
See you later.
Yes. So that's the Whaley House.
That is awesome, Angela. Great research.
Yay.
That's so cool. And I'm so glad we got to do that tour.
Yes, me too.
All right. Well, it's time for
movie time.
Woo!
Woo!
All right. Our movie review this week is a trend. The Curse of La Llorona.
La 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 Llorona.
Sorry.
We kept singing that the whole time.
Stop getting out of my head. All right. So it was released in 2019 on IMDb. It got 5.2 stars. And the synopsis is: ignoring the eerie warning of a troubled mother suspected of child endangerment, a social worker and her own small kids are soon drawn into a frightening supernatural realm. Now, the director is Michael Chavez, but producer, this is our theme, our trend, is one of them is James Wan.
We love James Wan.
I don't know why we can't get away from him. He's amazing. But yeah, so thoughts, Angela?
So I liked this one. I thought it was maybe my favorite one so far. That
really?
We've seen. Yeah.
Okay. Is it because of the theme or storytelling?
I think it's the acting.
Okay.
And I think the storytelling of, it's kind of everything.
A little mix.
But I didn't find myself as upset with the main characters as I usually am.
So there's no deadbeat dad, but there's a dead dad.
There's a dead dad.
So it's a little more manageable, right? Linda Cardellini.
I love her.
She's amazing.
Yes.
I love her too.
Since Freaks and Geeks, I've loved her.
Velma.
So yes, Velma.
She's great.
Yeah, so she was great. She was not annoying at all.
No, she played a really good, believable widowed mom.
Yes, it was believable. The actions of the kids, you could understand why they were acting the way that she did. You can understand why she did what she did.
Yes.
I found myself not questioning her and her motives.
I
have with all of the other parents.
We first were like, how is she living in this big house? And they're like, oh, it's because she's a widow. That makes and Los Angeles in 1973, right?
Los Angeles in 1973. They live in a big beautiful Craftsman with a pool. Okay, so a couple things that I found annoying is that it was raining so much.
Yeah, when does it rain in LA?
It doesn't rain here. It doesn't rain in Los Angeles.
like once in a blue moon.
Yeah. So
it was
like,
it was
like, well, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
It doesn't rain that much. And then again, the big house, and she's a social worker, and her husband was a cop. But I guess with his pension, I don't know.
Yeah, I think when someone is I don't want to say killed, but on duty, I'm sure there are
killed in the line of duty.
Yes, yeah. I'm guessing that your retirement from that is going to be big. So
yeah,
it's unfortunate, obviously. But yeah, the whole story, which I'm sure at some point in a podcast we'll cover La Llorona.
Yes.
So we won't go into too many, and I'm sure everybody knows a little bit about her. But it was creepy, right?
Yes.
There was a lot of jump scares.
A lot of jump scares. I was constantly going, ah! So this is the first time we've actually sat together to watch a movie. So Nicole got to witness firsthand what I do. And I'm like, oh gosh. All the
she
time.
saw me jump too, though.
Yes.
Cover my face.
I'm like, you've seen this. What are you doing?
Still, I haven't seen, 2019. So I saw, I think, probably 2020, I think, when it was finally released on streaming.
Right.
But yeah, it was whenever she appeared, she's creepy. They did a really good job with her.
They did a really good job with La Llorona and telling her story. And there was a little nod to Annabelle, which made us go, oh, James Wan. Okay, we get the connection because they used the same Annabelle that they used in The Conjuring.
Right, because the priest was going back and explaining his what was it, like his experience with the doll, right? And how some things you can't believe and some things you can, because he experienced it firsthand.
Right.
But yeah, it was the jump scares, that the actual just storyline of it moved really well, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It made it more believable, and the fact that they had this ex-priest help them, that was their kind of little comic relief, I think, right?
Yes, he was very funny.
He was really good, and I think he was a really good character, and he was a really good actor.
Yeah, what did he say at the end that made me laugh?
Oh, because he was doing like a magic. So they were, at one point, they had to go around the house and they would rub eggs on things. And then if you crack it and it was really dark, that means there's more evil present in your house.
Yes.
So she didn't believe him. So it cracked. It was black. He goes, ta-da.
Ta-da.
Yeah. So at the end, when, spoiler alert, they finally beat La Llorona and everything happens, he goes, ta-da. Ta-da. And it made us laugh so hard. So it was good. It was placed really well.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good too. Maybe not as great as I think I don't know why. It wasn't.
I think it was just because the main characters didn't
annoy you
and annoy me. And I liked how another character who was the mother of the case that she was working came back in the end, and she played a villainous part too. So anytime that you mix natural villainy with supernatural villainy, I enjoy that.
I could see that.
Because it just shows the human element of the supernatural element, and then they come together. So that was really interesting to see that.
And the heartstrings, right? Because she was really wanting her kids back.
She wanted her kids back.
She didn't do anything wrong. She was actually trying to protect them.
She was trying to protect her kids from La Llorona. So you can understand her frustration and her heartbreak with her caseworker, Anna, Linda. And so you could see how she came to be involved in the way that she was with La Llorona, and
that was good. Yeah,
it was good.
All right. Well, how many stitches would you give this movie?
I liked it. I would say 7.5, 7.75.
Really?
Yeah.
The way you talked about it, I thought you'd give it higher.
Oh, really? You thought I was going to go full 10?
No. It wasn't like amazing. No, I thought you would give it maybe an 8 or 9.
An 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely higher than the 5 that IMDb gives it.
Yeah. No, I don't think it deserves a 5.2, I think I would probably give it maybe a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Because it was enjoyable, but it wasn't, I don't know. There was something about it that just, as a horror movie, didn't get me as much. Like I can sleep at night, like, oh, okay.
It's not going to stay in your brain.
Yes. Yeah. Again, though, the acting was great. Like you said, the whole storyline was good. There was a lot of good things, but overall just kind of was like a good background movie for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did fall asleep during it last night.
we had to break this up in 2 parts. Yeah. Angela was very tired last night. Then that's okay. But yeah, I think I'd give it a 6.5 stitches.
Okay.
Next movie, I'm going to try to get away from James Wan so that we can give a different style of cinematography. I didn't know. It came to my mind. I was like, oh, let's watch this. And then I was like, oh, of course, it's a James Wan. So
yeah. You definitely have a style and
a
type that you go for.
Yeah.
They're beautifully shot. It was very beautifully shot. Mm-hmm. And something about drowning gets me. That's a fear for me. So I think that's another reason why it was ranked high.
Yeah.
Because there were definitely times where I was like, why are you in the tub? Yes. Why are you alone? Like, yeah, that bothered me that she left our kids alone a lot.
That was weird. Yeah, she would, when they end, when they're trying to fight her and she's trying to get her doll, I'm like, she was gone for like what, a good 5 minutes or so.
Yeah,
you wouldn't leave you're battling some crazy. If I'm evil
battling
thing,
an evil supernatural being, my kids are glued to my side. I would not let them out of my sight.
Yeah. So how did she get to do that? All that was crazy. That was nonsense to me. But I know that wouldn't be a movie, I guess, if that didn't happen. So
yeah, it was for storytelling.
Totally. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining. And you know what? Thank you guys and gals and thems and theys. I always forget. I'm so sorry that we just are so used to saying guys. I noticed that.
Yeah. Well, it's a California thing.
Thing.
You use dude and guys for everything.
Mm-hmm. But we really mean everybody. We are so happy to have you listening to us. And hopefully you return.
Yes.
And
see you, Stitchers.
See you, Stitchers.